If you've been hearing rumors that people over 70 are being denied boarding at airports in 2026, or that there are new age restrictions for flying internationally, I want you to take a deep breath, because what I'm about to share with you will bring you clarity and peace of mind. My name is Saqib, and you're watching Global Immigration Updates, where we cut through the noise and deliver fact-based immigration news without panic, without politics, and without speculation.
Let me start by addressing what's actually happening here. There are no new federal laws in the United States, Canada, or the United Kingdom that ban people over 70 from flying or that automatically deny them boarding based on age alone. This is not a real policy change. What we are seeing instead is a dangerous mix of misunderstood travel requirements, viral social media posts, and isolated incidents being blown completely out of proportion. And unfortunately, when misinformation spreads, it creates unnecessary fear, especially among older travelers and their families. So let me walk you through what is actually true, what is false, and what you need to know if you or someone you love is over 70 and planning to travel internationally in 2026.
First, let's talk about the reality of air travel and age. Airlines in the United States and around the world do not have blanket policies that prevent passengers from flying based solely on their age. There is no rule from the Federal Aviation Administration, the Transportation Security Administration, or any major airline that says if you are 70 or older, you cannot board a plane. That is simply not true. What airlines do have are policies related to passenger safety and medical fitness to fly, and these policies apply to travelers of all ages, not just seniors. Here's how it works. If an airline or airport staff believes that a passenger, regardless of age, may pose a safety risk to themselves or others during the flight, they have the authority to deny boarding. This could happen if someone appears to be seriously ill, intoxicated, mentally incapacitated, or unable to follow safety instructions. This is not new. This has been standard practice in the aviation industry for decades. The key point here is that these decisions are made on a case-by-case basis, not because of a person's age. Now, you might be wondering where these rumors about age 70 and boarding denials are coming from. The truth is, there have been a few isolated incidents where older passengers were asked to provide medical clearance before being allowed to board. In some cases, this happened because the passenger appeared unwell at the gate. In other cases, it was because the airline had concerns about whether the person could safely evacuate in an emergency or manage their own needs during a long flight without medical assistance. These situations are rare, and they are not the result of any new 2026 rule targeting seniors. What has changed, and what may be contributing to the confusion, is that some airlines have updated their policies around passengers who require special assistance or who are traveling alone with a companion. For example, certain airlines now ask passengers who need significant help with mobility, eating, or using the restroom to travel with a companion or to provide advance notice so that appropriate accommodations can be made. Again, this is not specific to people over 70. This applies to anyone who may need that level of assistance, regardless of age. There is also the issue of international travel and immigration-related medical requirements. Some countries require travelers to show proof of travel insurance that covers medical emergencies, especially for older visitors. For example, if you are applying for a visa to visit certain countries in Europe under the Schengen Agreement, you may be required to have travel insurance that covers at least 30,000 euros in medical expenses. This requirement exists because some governments want to ensure that foreign visitors will not become a burden on their public health systems. But this is a visa requirement, not an airport boarding rule, and it has nothing to do with being denied a flight at the gate.
Let me also address another layer of this issue, which involves immigration status and travel documents. If you are over 70 and you are a green card holder in the United States, you are subject to the same rules as any other green card holder. You must carry your valid green card when you travel internationally, and if you stay outside the United States for more than 6 months, you may be questioned by Customs and Border Protection when you return. If you stay outside the United States for more than 1 year without obtaining a reentry permit, you risk losing your green card. These rules are not new and they are not specific to seniors. However, older green card holders are sometimes more likely to travel for extended periods to visit family abroad, and they may not realize that doing so can jeopardize their status.
Similarly, if you are over 70 and you are traveling to the United States on a visa, you must meet all the standard requirements for entry. This includes having a valid visa, a valid passport, and being able to demonstrate the purpose of your visit. If you are applying for a visitor visa and the consular officer has concerns about whether you intend to return to your home country, they may deny your application. Age itself is not a reason for denial, but older applicants are sometimes flagged if they have strong family ties in the United States and weak ties to their home country, because this can raise questions about immigrant intent.
Now let's talk about what happens at the airport itself. When you arrive at the airport to board an international flight, you will go through several checkpoints. You will check in with the airline, you will go through security with TSA or the equivalent agency, and you will proceed to your gate. At each of these points, officials and airline staff are looking for signs that a passenger may not be fit to fly or may not be admissible to the destination country. If you are over 70 and you arrive at the gate appearing confused, disoriented, or in medical distress, the gate agent may ask you questions to assess whether you are okay to travel. This is not discrimination. This is a safety protocol.
In some cases, the airline may ask you to sign a waiver or provide a medical certificate from a doctor stating that you are fit to fly. This is more common if you have a known medical condition, if you recently had surgery, or if you are visibly unwell. The airline's priority is to avoid a medical emergency at 30,000 feet where help is limited. If you cannot provide that documentation on the spot, the airline has the right to deny boarding and ask you to reschedule your flight once you have obtained the necessary clearance. Here is what you need to understand. None of this is a result of a new 2026 rule. None of this is targeting people over 70 specifically, and none of this means that seniors are being systematically banned from flying. What is happening is that normal, long-standing airline and immigration policies are being misinterpreted and spread as breaking news on social media, and that is causing fear and confusion. Let me also clarify something important about travel within the United States. If you are flying domestically within the U.S., there are no immigration checks. You only need a valid form of identification, such as a driver's license or a state ID, and starting May 7, 2025, that ID must be Real ID compliant if you want to use it to board a domestic flight. If you do not have a Real ID compliant license, you can use a U.S. passport instead. But again, there is no age limit. There is no policy that says people over 70 cannot fly within the United States. That is completely false. So, who is actually affected by any of this? The people who may face challenges are those who have serious, visible medical conditions and are traveling without proper documentation or a travel companion. Older passengers who appear confused or unable to care for themselves during the flight may be asked for additional documentation. And travelers of any age who do not meet the visa, passport, or entry requirements for their destination country will be denied boarding. But these are individual situations, not a blanket rule. What should you do if you or a loved one over 70 is planning to travel internationally in 2026? First, make sure all travel documents are up to date. This means a valid passport with at least 6 months of validity remaining, a valid visa if required, and a valid green card or re-entry permit if applicable. Second, if you have any medical conditions that could affect your ability to fly, consult your doctor before your trip and ask for a letter stating that you are medically cleared to travel. Carry this letter with you, along with any necessary medications in their original packaging. Third, if you need assistance with mobility or other tasks during the flight, notify the airline in advance. Most airlines offer wheelchair service, priority boarding, and other accommodations, but they need to know ahead of time. Fourth, make sure you have travel insurance that covers medical emergencies, especially if you are traveling internationally. And fifth, if you are a green card holder and you plan to be outside the United States for more than 6 months, apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. If you do encounter a situation where you are denied boarding and you believe it was unfair or discriminatory, you have the right to ask for an explanation. Airlines are required to provide a reason for denied boarding, and if that reason is based on age alone, that would be a violation of anti-discrimination laws. You can file a complaint with the Department of Transportation in the United States or with the equivalent agency in Canada or the UK, depending on where the incident occurred. Now, let me give you some reassurance. Immigration rules and airline policies do not change overnight. When there are significant changes, they are announced well in advance through official channels. If there were a real policy targeting travelers over 70, it would be published on the websites of the FAA, TSA, USCIS, IRCC, or the UK Home Office. It would be covered by major news outlets, not just social media. The fact that no such announcement exists should tell you that what you are hearing is not accurate. I want to emphasize that staying informed is your best protection against misinformation. Do not rely on viral videos, WhatsApp messages, or Facebook posts for immigration or travel news. Go directly to official sources. In the United States, check uscis.gov, cbp.gov, and the State Department website. In Canada, check the IRCC website. In the UK, check the Home Office website. These are the only places where you will find accurate, up-to-date information about travel and immigration policies. If you have a complex situation, such as an expired green card, a pending visa application, or a medical condition that may affect your travel, consult with a licensed immigration attorney or an accredited representative. Do not make major decisions based on rumors or fear. Get professional advice from someone who understands the law and can review your specific circumstances. I also want to remind you that the immigration system, despite its flaws, operates on due process. If your visa is denied, you have the right to reapply or appeal. If you are denied boarding, you can ask for clarification and reschedule your flight. If you are questioned at the border, you have the right to be treated with respect and to have your case reviewed fairly. You are not powerless, and you are not without rights. Let me close by saying this. The idea that people over 70 are being banned from flying in 2026 is false. It is based on misunderstandings, isolated incidents, and the viral spread of incomplete information. Yes, older travelers may face additional scrutiny in certain situations, especially if they have medical or mobility concerns. But this is not new, and it is not a targeted policy. It is a safety measure that applies to all passengers. If you are over 70 and you want to travel, you can. Just make sure you are prepared. Have your documents in order. Take care of your health. Communicate with the airline if you need assistance. And do not let fear stop you from seeing the world or visiting your loved ones. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe to Global Immigration Updates and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Share this video with anyone who may have heard these rumors and needs the truth. And if you have questions about your own immigration or travel situation, leave them in the comments below. I read every comment, and I do my best to point you in the right direction. Remember, immigration news can be confusing, but it does not have to be scary. Stay informed, stay calm, and trust the facts.